Good morning. Finally, I'm able to do this video. Honestly, it feels like it's been ages because the weather has not been very good in the UK. So what am I doing today? I'm doing another fitness fragrance review, and I'm reviewing Nasomatto Baraonda. I've mentioned this fragrance quite a lot lately, and I've actually got a clone of this one as well from Devane Fragrances. This essentially is a winter fragrance. This is not for running, this is not for fitness. But if you haven't seen these before, essentially I review the fragrances during my workout. So I'm going to do a morning workout today where I'm going to do a run, come home, walk to the gym, do a gym workout and come back, all while wearing a fragrance. So it's going to be this one today. And I'm going to rate it on 5 categories. So price slash value for money, its versatility, its projection, and do a room spray test where I test, how much it feels like my room, compliment factor, and then its overall longevity. How long does it survive? Does it survive in the shower as well, all while wearing this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the first 2 categories during my run today. So I'll do the price slash value for money and versatility on that, and I'll talk about it during my run. But before we do that, just want to do a little bit of a mention of the note breakdown, just give you a general vibe. What is this fragrance about? What's it most suited for? I have been super complimentary of this fragrance so much. Honestly, I first tried this in Harrods about 5, 6 years ago, and it was the first time I'd ever really had that real high-end niche sort of smell. And honestly, after I smelt it, I was like a kid in the sweet shop. I went around the whole store smelling every fragrance. So yeah, this one is certainly a boozy type fragrance, and you'll tell that from the note breakdown. So if we look at the top notes, according to Fragrantica, it's whiskey, and this is what this really is. The whiskey note here is so realistic, so prominent, and it is delicious. If you love boozy fragrances, that whiskey note at the very top is so noticeable, and you notice it throughout the fragrance. You've then got the spices in the fragrance. Don't get too much of the spices. It says it adds a subtle heat and liveliness to the opening. Don't particularly get that. I just get this sort of sweet booziness essentially. I think it does transition to the base quite quickly in this fragrance. Certainly don't get the rose. The woodsy notes though, 100% you get in this. And you can kind of tell from the bottle, it has got that sort of woody complexion to it. And the sort of juice there is slightly woody coloured, let's say. Oak cedar, certainly the cedar wood in this, provides structure and evoke aged whiskey barrels. That is it. It's like this sweet whiskey barrel type smell. Then you go into the base, ambroxan, that helps the performance. This is an extrait, super, super strong. Again, Dior Sauvage, fragrances like that, eccentric molecules, very popular for layering, and that's what that brings. Musk, yeah, there is a slight lightness to it. It's not really, really heavy booze. It's like this caramel sweetness. Surprised it doesn't mention caramel, but I think it's just literally that whiskey and the woods mixing together. And then that vanilla probably does also bring that extra sweetness and creaminess that you really get. Super, super fragrance. Detect a lot of those notes, but yeah, certainly not the floral components. But if you love boozy, sweet scents, this is a great one. Let's talk about the bottle. So I always have to mention this. I'm never that bothered about designs of bottles, but I do quite like this one. Some people won't like this, by the way, because they'll probably say the lid on this is a little bit big for the bottle. This is a 30 ml bottle, and yes, kind of got this like woody complexion to it. Now it isn't wood really, it's literally just like a plasticky cap to be honest, but it clicks on absolutely fine. I really like the labelling on this. I think it looks really classy, this silver labelling as well. It's easy to hold, easy in your hand. But yeah, sometimes I quite like a magnetic cap with more expensive fragrances, but again, the sprayer on this, I won't waste it because it's expensive, which we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, the atomizer spray is absolutely fine. If you get a Nasomatto bottle, they all tend to look like this. There's Black Afghano, Pardon, all those sort of ones that are really popular, and Baraonda. Yeah, they all have this really big lid, and yeah, just have this uniform type look, which I'm a big fan of. Looks like the middle of the night, doesn't it? It's actually gone 7 o'clock. It's at 20 past 7. It's a price slash value for money. So, do I think Nasomatto Baraonda is good value for money? So, the price you would have just seen were kind of on the Tino and Harrods, and you're kind of talking between 120 to 130 pound for a 30 ml bottle because they only do them in 30 ml. Now, I think it's safe to say that's expensive. If you had 100 ml Tom Ford, you'd be paying that sort of price. You'd be paying about 300, 400 pound. And if this was 100 ml, you're talking in that price range. So that's the sort of level here we're talking in terms of fragrance.
I think for a lot of people that's just going to be far, far too expensive. Certainly to start with, you know, unless you really know this one and you've tried it somewhere like I did first, I don't think you could ever really justify that. Now, I paid about £80 because I got it on a discount website, so if you can find them for that, or even on eBay, then it's absolutely fine, you know, don't worry too much. But anyway, yeah, I think that's quite steep. However, we're talking the sort of quality of the fragrance here. This is incredible. This is the most realistic boozy sort of note I've ever smelled, and it's super, super moreish. And I think what we've also got to consider, we say about 30ml bottles, because this is an extrait, which means it's got a higher, you know, concentration than a eau de parfum. It's, you know, it's the next level up. It does have that more staying power. So, you know, you're going to get, you won't need to spray like 20, 30 times like I do. You'll only need to spray this 4 or 5 times. You'll get the same performance. So it will last just as long because the concentration's stronger. So just keep that in mind as well. But yeah, when I talk about price range, I think we're talking mainly about the scent. If you blindfolded me and said how much would this cost me, I would probably say it is at least £100, £120. So I think what you're getting is you get what you pay for. You know, I've got a clone of this, and those sweet woods in it, where they're more synthetic and the booziness more synthetic, it has got a bit of a urine sort of whiskey barrel smell that's not very pleasant. So yeah, this is amazing. And that whiskey opening, which you smell all the way through, and then those sweet woods and that caramel sort of sweetness, which I think must just be the vanilla mixing with it, it's blended so well, and nothing smells synthetic. You know, I always say about Bentley for them tends to be like the most, like, you know, really decent rum note in that, and really realistic. This is a different level. So yeah, if you love those sort of caramel whiskey sort of sweet boozy notes that are perfect for the winter full time, compliment getting, absolutely. You know, I remember my brother sort of spraying it on his neck actually after he'd been to Harrods. It was so easy to identify. I could smell it even in London with the busy streets and all the car pollution and everything. But it is expensive, so I don't think I can give it the real top marks for this. For me, I love it. I'd pay that because it's one of my all-time favourites. So I'm going to give it, in terms of price, or let's go 7 out of 10. It's a lot to expect someone to buy, and you've got to really love this type of fragrance for it. Thankfully I do. So yeah, on to versatility. So versatility, how much can you dress this one up, dress this one down, different ages, different sexes, all those things. Well, I think the words that describe this fragrance are mature, sophisticated, elegant, confident, well put together, all those sort of things. That's how I describe this fragrance. This is not juvenile at all. You know, this is very much one that you wear, suit and tie, nice car, you know, night out sort of thing. You wouldn't, to be honest with you, I wouldn't even wear this one to the office. It's very much, you know, for me, a sort of winter type scent. It's quite niche in terms of what you can use it for. I don't think a younger person, particularly obviously with the price as well, is going to feel like they really want this. It's going to be far too removed from what they're used to. You know, this isn't safe in that sense. But this is very much, as I said, someone who just wants to make a bit of a statement and stand out. Now, do I think it could be signature scent worthy? Yes. But as I was saying, I just wouldn't wear this to the office because it's really heavy. Being an extrait, it's probably too heavy for that. And, you know, with the size of the bottle, I think you just want this for those special occasions. This is what this is. Special occasion fragrance. So in terms of versatility, that means it's quite limited. I would probably say certainly needs more masculine with the boozy notes and that woodiness. But if you're a woman who likes that sort of sweet, boozy type vibe, of course you can pull this off, no problem at all. But yeah, I think this is going to definitely lean more masculine with that whiskey accord. And yeah, I personally think 30 and up would appreciate this. And it's got to be someone, or running on stones is hard work, it's got to be someone who's tried plenty of fragrances in the past. I think even if you tried a Bentley for Men Intense before this, you know, you just get a bit of an appreciation. Do you like those boozy type scents? And if you do, wow, this is fantastic. But we're talking versatility here. And to be honest with you, I just think winter, night out, suit and tie, older gentlemen. And apart from that, I think there's cheaper and better alternatives that will be a lot more versatile for the things like the gym, daytime wear, even in cold weather. I just don't think this is maybe that number one. This is, as I said, it's designed around being a night out, really. So with that being said, I can't give a great score for versatility. I mean, I love it, and as I said, I think you could have this as a signature scent because it will make you stand out from the crowd because it's that good. But it's not versatile. You can't wear it most of the year. And yeah, you're certainly, if you're someone who just wants something to do all jobs, this isn't it. Certainly not with the size of the bottle either. So I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. That's harsh. And what it is perfect for, it's a 10 out of 10. But it's limited. And you know, when you're paying those prices, I think some people will definitely want a bit more, however good the fragrance smells. Anyway, time to head home. And yeah, I'm desperate for a cup of tea.
Run all done, 13 miles, well, just under 13 miles. It's now time to spray my room. So again, if you haven't seen this before, essentially, I'll do 4 sprays, so I don't want to waste too much of this one. Yeah, essentially what I'm going to do, I'm going to give it 10 minutes now. I'm going to go and have a tea, something to eat, and then I'll come back up and see how much this fragrance has filled the room. In the meantime, though, I'm going to talk about projection during my run. How much did I notice this fragrance? I'm certainly noticing it now. It'd be interesting to see how it does on the room test. Right, time for a tea. Can't wait. Oh, so nice. Honestly, I've been waiting for this so much. So, how did I find projection during my run? How much did I notice it? Well, to be honest, considering it's an Extrait, okay, I didn't spray as much as I maybe normally would. I didn't notice it as much as I thought. I noticed it once while running. I went to the toilet but didn't notice it anyway. And yeah, the only time I sort of noticed it again was when I stopped to stretch at the end. So a little bit underwhelmed with it, I must admit. That's not as good as I was hoping, but I think with this sort of fragrance, you don't want it to be too heavy. Look, it's not a workout fragrance, of course it's not. So I'm not expecting it to be that sort of thing. But I expect a bit more of a trail with this. I've noticed a trail with this before, just when it's been on other people. Maybe it just didn't really catch me today, but yeah, a little bit underwhelmed with that. But it'll be interesting to see now how it does in the room test. So I'm going to finish this up. We'll just see if I notice it more than maybe I did during my run before I give a score. Okay, so heading up the stairs. Well, at the top of the stairs now. Can't smell it as I go in. How can I smell it now I'm in the room? Yeah. Yeah, I can smell that. That's pretty strong. But it's not super, super strong. It's not overwhelming. You know, I said, oh, definitely not an office safe scent. I think if you tone your sprays down, this may actually be all right, you know. Yeah, I like that. I still don't think it's a daytime wear fragrance. So on the whole, I'm not saying this is an office scent, but I think as long as you tone your sprays on this, this would be all right. I'm saying about 60, 70% probably would be after about an hour. I'd say it's about 75%, 80% at the minute. So not bad at all. I've had Extraits like Baccarat Rouge. I've sort of had a little tester of it before that's definitely more sticky than this one. Still would linger more. That would also be more suitable in terms of what you'd want to project more. I'm going to give it, just based on the run as well, let's go 7. It's not bad at all. It's pretty good. It's probably, again, what you want for this sort of fragrance. You don't want it to be too heavy, too overwhelming, which means it may be a little bit more versatile than I said. But yeah, again, you could look at it the other way and go, oh, I wish it was a little bit more for the sort of money I've spent. So yeah, it's however you want to take it, but I think it's certainly a little bit more wearable maybe than I thought. But I expected a little bit more maybe with the projection. But yeah, it's certainly not terrible. It's just that kind of average, let's say. But yeah, time to head to the gym now. What I'm going to do, I'll talk about complement factor on my walk. And I'm going to do 3 sprays on each side today. And I'm hoping and I'm expecting, again, longevity here should be the real selling point of this. There's more sort of concentrated perfume in this. I'm expecting that to get a good score later, but it'll be about 3 hours till we tie. So yeah, have a shower and a workout first, walk to the gym, and yeah, I think that's definitely going to still be there in a few hours.
Okay, so compliment factor. Have I got any experience of this, and do I think it's a fragrance that will get compliments? Well, I have worn it for compliments before, but maybe not made in the right settings, let's say, because I've never had a compliment on it. So when I say I've not worn it in the right settings, I've worn it to sort of work early morning. Again, not a time when I really want to smell a boozy type fragrance. And I did wear it once to a night out at the darts on Sky Sports. And of course, with that, you know, you're going on trains, you're going in pubs, you're then in the venue, and it's not that sort of fragrance. I think this is the sort of fragrance where you want to be out with maybe 3 or 4 people, or even just one person on sort of a date night. And if you're sitting with them for a little while, you're just going to get that real whiff every so often as well. I don't think it's going to choke you out in that way. You're just going to get that nice smell that just draws people in, and it's just warm and comforting. I love the sweetness in this. As I said, that sweetness really does temper down that booziness. So it doesn't smell to me like you've been drinking or anything like that. So yeah, maybe I've just not worn it in the right scenarios. As I said, wearing it at 8 in the morning just doesn't feel quite right, maybe. But this is one I would definitely wear to try and get compliments. Yes, it's a, as I said, it's a more complex scent. It's definitely more refined, more grown up than someone who's getting into fragrances would probably be used to. But that doesn't mean it's not mass pleasing. I think this is definitely a statement scent. It's not going to be for everyone. As I said, it isn't going to be for everyone. But what I would say with this is one of those fragrances where if the right person likes it, they're not going to forget about you. They're not going to forget this scent. They're going to want to know what it is. They may want to buy it themselves, or as I said, you may be the person that stands out in the crowd for them. So for that reason, I definitely think it is a compliment getter. So again, I always say normally compliments tend to be those more, you know, versatile, easy to pull off things because you can use them in more situations. But this is a showpiece, I think, in that right situation, like a night out or a dress up sort of event. So because I think it can get you the real top compliments, I think it needs a pretty decent score. So I'm going to give it 7.5. I think that's it. Its biggest issue is going to be the fact it's not versatile, can't be used in many situations, and again, it's not going to be 100% for everyone. But if this is right and you use it in the right scenario with the right sort of people around you, people who may like this, I think you're not going to be forgotten for a long time. You're going to be remembered as the person that smells great. Of course, we'll bump that up to a 10 if I get any compliments at the gym today. That is definitely not a scenario where you should wear it, but yeah, you never know. Gym workout done, no compliments, but this fragrance is super strong. I reckon this could get a 10 out of 10 on longevity. But what we need to do now, time to have a shower, do the shower test, and then once I'm out, yeah, we'll see how strong this fragrance still is. Okay, so it's nearly midday, and that means it's been about 3 hours since I applied the fragrance. So how has Nasomatto Baraonda survived in terms of the shower test? Now, to be honest with you, I tried Rasasi Daris the other week. If you saw my last fitness fragrance review, that got a 10 because literally that smelled just as strong as when I came out of the shower. I thought this would be a bit more. This is about 70 to 75% as strong. I don't think you need to reapply it. And again, certainly if you've not been doing exercise like I have today, it would last a little bit longer. It'd probably be up to 80, 85%. But yeah, I expected a little bit more, again, being an Extrait. But it will linger on your skin, but that's not going to really be noticed now. And that's what you want this fragrance to be. This is the thing. This is the sort of scent that, yeah, you want to smell clean and fresh and nice through the day. But I feel like you'd have to reapply this after the shower if you want it to be that statement fragrance, which is what it's for me. So a little bit underwhelmed with that, I have to say. But again, you wouldn't need to, if you just want it purely for yourself, you don't need to reapply it. So what would I give it then as a score? It still smells really good. I have to say, it does smell really good. Again, if someone was coming up close to you across the road, I would probably give it, let's go, oh, these scores are tough. I'm going to give it a 6.5. I think that's fair. That it's not bad at all, but it's it's just that price range that you've got to factor in, and again, what you want this scent for, that I just think knocks it down. And, you know, boozy woody notes certainly can last for days and days and days. I just think maybe it just falls a tiny bit short in that sense. And yeah, I think a few people would be disappointed, certainly if you're, you know, 50-50 on the fragrance and you haven't decided how much you like it. I think you would want a bit more longevity. Anyway, time to head back and we'll count up all the scores.
We're finally back. I've just got pooed on by a seagull, which you may have seen in my shorts. And it doesn't matter with this hoodie on because I've got so much rice pudding and other bits down it, you wouldn't even know what's on it. Anyway, just gone 1. I've done 36,900 steps, all while wearing Nasomatto Baraonda. So overall score 33 out of 50. Now, that's not a very high score considering, you know, some of the scores I've been given recently. And I'm going to confuse things here because personally, this is in my top 5 scents of all time, top 5 fragrances of all time. So why wouldn't it score as well as some that I don't like as much as I've done in recent reviews? Well, also, it's not about me. You know, if you look on Fragrantica, this gets 4.4 out of 5. But if we look at the categories that we're ranking it on, price paid for money, compliment factor, versatility, all those things that people are mainly looking for, this isn't really the fragrance factor. This is for someone, and obviously people who use Fragrantica and stuff, this is for those that really love their fragrances, are really into them. But that doesn't mean, you know, I think this is great, and obviously most people do in the fragrance world think it's obviously a great fragrance. But there's many great fragrances where you know, will give you more vibes for the gym, you know, more occasions, more wearable, just throughout the year in the summer, younger, older, just brings that extra versatility. And you can probably get 10 bottles for the price of one of these and get them in 100 ml. So yeah, really, the reason it's not scored maybe those top scores is I just think this is a fragrance more for your real enthusiasts. You don't want to start, you first get into fragrances, this isn't the one to buy, you know, work out what you like, work out the scent profiles, you know, you want, sort of spend 10-30 pounds, something like that, and you'll work out whether you want to go and spend that little bit more. I said, I think this is a brilliant fragrance, and I think if you are into boozy scents, you've tried some cheaper boozy scents a little bit like we were saying earlier, Bentley for Men Intense, then go for this, because this is the most realistic whiskey note I've ever smelt, and to me, I'm going to say this now, I'm going to go this far out, and, you know, considering I've given it 33 out of 50, not my highest score, I think this is the best, the closest smelling fragrance to perfection. Of all the ones I've smelled, whether it's Tobacco Vanille, some of the Acqua di Parma Colognas, I think this, to me, for my what I would want, this is as close as it comes to perfection so far out of all the fragrances I've smelled. So that's how highly I think of this fragrance. And yeah, look, if you're into fragrances and you know you like boozy scents, please go and try it. Try before you buy. So it's 30 ml. Go to a Harrods, something like that, where you can try this and then work out if it's for you. But honestly, it's blended so well. I don't recommend the clones too much. The clone I have of it, very synthetic. This is blended to absolute perfection. It's done a very good job with those sweet woods, with the booziness and that vanilla. So yeah, absolutely love it. Okay, yeah, didn't get the highest score today, but I'm hoping that shows that I'm trying to review it for kind of the general person rather than someone who really loves their fragrances. But yeah, if you want to get a top winter scent, a statement scent, this is your one, Nasomatto Baraonda. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this one today. Glad to got out there without all the rain as well, because it's not been very nice lately and it's just started to rain now. But thank you very much for watching. Of course, more fragrance videos to come. Hopefully you'll join me for them. Catch you later.